Hello and welcome to this episode where I will compare those two old big boats from two different brands. On one side we have the most controversial BMW ever made, or better known for many of you, the most ugly BMW ever made, which is the fourth generation of the 7 Series. And on the other side we have the last bulletproof fifth generation of Mercedes Benz S-Class. So let's start with BMW. If you're looking for some future modern classic that drives very well, this is one of the choices. Sporty feel, responsive throttle, and so on that you can expect from BMW. But in this generation, BMW introduced optional feature which is essential if you're looking for used 7 Series, and it doesn't matter what generation you're looking for, the active sway bars are really needed. The thing is that every big sedan or any heavy vehicle needs some extra support in corners. So that's why BMW came with active sway bars. Simply, the system called dynamic drive back in the days prevents body roll while cornering. And that is giving the big plus to comfort ride. It's giving you feel that even in the higher speed while cornering, the car doesn't lean that much. That's one of the reasons why I like this 7 Series. And if you have optional feature, the adaptive shock absorbers like this 7 Series has, the ride quality can easily compare to today's flagships or even better. There are different variations of optional features. For example, with V12 6-liter petrol engine, which is the most powerful engine that was used in the fourth generation of the 7 Series, you'll get most of the features included, such as active sway bars and adaptive suspension, or Alcantara upholstery with nice stitching all over. Or from individual package, the merino leather seats from the real cows that used to graze in the fields of the Bavarian Alps. And the list of optional features can go on and on. The thing is, if you're really interested in this generation of the 7 Series, you have to look for the 7 Series with the higher spec. The active sway bars and adaptive suspension are really required if you want to get the most of the ride quality. The same applies for the fifth generation of Mercedes Benz S-Class. You just cannot settle with low specification. It's not enough that you have just 3-pointed star on the bonnet and you already feel the luxury for a few grands. You need Alcantara upholstery, premium leather, and of course powerful engine, and there is plenty to choose. The good thing is that all S-Classes from the 5th generation are equipped with adaptive and air suspension in base spec. But sadly, it doesn't helping body roll in corners. But if you go for the S-Class with the active body control feature, which is hydropneumatic suspension, I believe you can get the same experience like in the 7 Series, if not even better. I can't tell you exactly, since this S-Class doesn't have the active body control. So I will just compare the things that I have experience with. Little fun fact, the both features, the active sway bars and hydropneumatic suspension, were firstly introduced by Citroën. Unfortunately, Citroën is no longer offering those features in their new vehicles. At least BMW and Mercedes-Benz still continue in their legacy. Okay, enough of wasting fuel and let's enjoy soft merino leather seats from the Bavarian cows and Napa leather armrest. Yep, different types of leather giving us different type of experience. Enough of fun and let's get to differences between those two big boats. They're both great cars, just in a different way. Let's start with the biggest difference, and that it's handling. Most of you know that BMW is a car that you want to rather drive and enjoy sporty feeling. And with 4th generation of the 7 Series it's not any different. Quick responsive steering that making cornering enjoyable. Just slightly stiffer to steer, and downside is that imperfections from road like uneven surface and potholes are transferred to steering wheel that can be slightly annoying. On the other side, Mercedes has a slightly slower response from the steering, but not in a bad way. It's smooth and very gentle, with ease you turning the steering wheel, and the best thing is that you don't feel any imperfections in the steering wheel from the road like uneven surface or potholes. is just like you expect to be from a Mercedes. One more thing to the steering that I noticed, the S-Class has much smaller turning radius than the 7 Series, which means it's easier to park the S-Class than the 7 Series. Next thing, the suspension. With the 7 Series equipped with the dynamic drive, there is not much body roll in corners, and thanks to adaptive suspension, the ride quality can be equal to Rolls-Royce experience. They even sharing a lot of internal parts of the active sway bars and the adaptive suspension, and even after 150,000 miles, there is still some life in the shock absorbers. Shame that I cannot say the same about the S-Class. Usually after 100,000 miles, the shock absorbers inside the air struts are already worn out, and the whole body of the S-Class is just bouncing only on the airbags like a boat. It will be interesting to see how that boat would behave with the hydropneumatic suspension. I believe there would be much less body roll in corners. That's the reason why the S-Class needs hydropneumatic struts for more comfortable ride and much less body roll. It's a shame they're not offering this feature in the base spec, even though that's their top model S-Class. What I know, only with a V12 6-liter petrol engine, like it was in the case of the BMW, you'll get that feature included. So different variations of features in the same car makes completely different experience in the end. Bear that in mind when you will be looking for your car. One neat feature on the S-Class suspension that I like is raising up the body by a few centimeters. It's very convenient in case of water pots on the road. Lately in the UK we had them more than enough. Let's compare the seats. With the BMW there are three main types of seats. The regular, sport seats, and the best optional seats are the comfort seats. The comfort seats in the 4th generation of the 7 Series are one of the best seats ever made. They really deserve the name comfort. They have too many adjustable settings that I can't even count them. But even in Mercedes the seats are very comfortable. Nice and soft, but not too much soft, and I like that bottom section is moving in one piece. The upper arm section is not bending like in the 7 Series, but anyway it can still somehow wrap your whole back. What is weird is that the ventilation function has very weak suction. I did my research regarding that, and it seems it's not just case of this S-Class. Where on the 7 Series the ventilation function is strongly noticeable, which is very convenient in hot summer days. But expect with ventilation function and massage function in the 7 Series, the seats will be slightly firmer because of all the parts installed for those functions. Similar case will be probably in the S-Class. I don't know exactly that, since I had opportunity to test the seats only in this configuration of the S-Class that I have. Small advice: if you're looking for the soft seats in the 7 Series, look for the comfort seats with the merino or club leather without ventilation or massage function. And if you're looking for the premium leather option in Mercedes, the Designo is your choice. The next difference between those two boats is soundproofing. The S-Class is noticeably quieter than the 7 Series. To be honest, I'm not wondering why. For example, when we compare boots, the S-Class has a better isolated boot. Everything is completely covered with nice textile materials. On the other side, the 7 Series is missing the top covering panel. And I can continue with that. The S-Class has the textile cover lower A and B pillars, where the 7 Series has the plastic covered A and B pillars, and as well even the underbody covering looks better on the S-Class. Nevertheless, despite how quiet the S-Class is, there is some squeaky sound from armrest, but luckily only till the interior warms up. So these are the biggest differences between those two big boats that I found after switching them over for the last couple of months. And what you can expect in terms of reliability? Well, these are top-notch flagships, so it's not going to be cheap to maintain and fix them. But in my research, both are much reliable than their next generations. For both applies the same. Don't go for the cheapest car with unknown history. Look for better examples, low mileage with service history. That way you save money on the further investments. The proper maintenance is the key, and the best would be look for the car which was parked in a garage or search abroad in warm climates, because the rust is something which is hard to fix. I know that comparing those two flagships can be unfair against older 7 Series, since it was introduced in 2001 and the S-Class was introduced in 2005, so it's 4 years difference, but in my opinions, those two flagships were the best generations from both brands. They spent a lot of money on engineering those two flagships. Plenty of engines that you could choose from, and even quality was much better as well. For example, when we look on the door hinges, they have extra support. The inner strut that is holding the door in the position wherever you leave it. Sadly again, they didn't continue with that on further generations. So that's it. I told you the most of important things regarding those two excellent cars. Now it's on you to decide which one you prefer more or neither of them. I didn't want to talk about the design since everybody have different taste, so I informed you with the things you can't see until you sit behind the wheel, which is actually missing on this one, but that's a different story. The tested vehicles are both the 3-liter diesel engines, which in the UK is more than enough for queuing on the motorways. And I found that the consumption is slightly lower on the BMW, which is weird since the S-Class has the 7-speed automatic transmission and the 7 Series has only the 6-speed automatic transmission. But both transmissions are great in terms of shifting and reliability. If from time to time you change the transmission fluid, of course. They are actually from the same company, which is ZF. Either way, if you choose the 7 Series or the S-Class, you can't go wrong with any of those. But to best understand, I would like to drive the S-Class on the motorway, and soon as I leave the junction, I would prefer the 7 Series, since it's much more enjoyable in the corners. So that's all for this episode, and in next few episodes you will see my project car. It's actually the car which I'm sitting in. So this is a small peek. You can see nice clean Alcantara headliner, leather from the Bavarian cows. Well, this is the project that maybe went too far, but about that later. Thank you for watching and see you in next episode.